Hey everyone, and welcome to Keyboard Skills Pro. And despite what one guy told me about YouTube videos and how to make them, my name's Tom, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today we are learning a little piece of Beethoven, an Ecossaise, or an escalope as I sometimes like to call them, much to the fun and delight of my students. But an Ecossaise is a dance, and it literally means Scottish. It's a Scottish style dance in 2 times, so lots of fun. And this one's in the key of G major, so let's start off by looking at the score and seeing exactly what we need to understand. You know, one thing I always tend to say to students is before you start playing a piece is spend a minute actually looking through the music. So as I've got it here on my iPad, I could get my iPad down and I look at all the various bits and pieces. But let's take a look at the beginning and first of all check out the key signature. We've then got 1 sharp in the key signature, and that's on the F line, the top of the treble there, and the 4th line up on the bass clef. So that means that 1 sharp, F sharp, means we are in the key of G major. We then got a time signature of 2/4, and that means that in every bar there are 2 crotchet beats, or 2 quarter notes as you lovely Americans call them. So we're going to be going da da dum da dum ba dum ba da dum bum bum. So if I set my metronome on my digital piano here, and we set it about maybe about 105, dum bum 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 ba da dum bum ba. That's about the speed we're going to aim for, about 100. Let's take it down a little bit to say 80 for practice purposes. And 1 and 2 and 1 and da da da, etc. So that's how we're going to be counting it. So it's in the key of G major, and there are 2 beats in the bar. It's going to be a fairly steady-ish count, but the music will go quite quick. So let's take a look first of all. In this video here, we're going to start off with the first part of the Ecossaise by Beethoven. And let's start of all find out where we're starting off. Well, we start off with this rather cool G major position. First 5 notes of G major right here. And we're going to start with B. And we've got 2 notes at the beginning, look, which have double lines on them. So these are semiquavers. Now, what you have to remember that in 2/4 is that crotchets are the beat, quavers are the halves, and semiquavers, as we've got here, are the quarters. So this is going to come in at the very beginning of the piece, just before it starts. We're going to go 1, 2, 1 and a 2. And those 2 notes come in and they sort of pick the piece up. They go a little push like that first domino. In fact, they are known as pick-up notes. So we go 1, 2, 1 and 2. B, C, D. And did you notice there how there was a nice smooth run up to my little finger? So starting on the 3rd finger, look, going up to D, and then I'm going to come off that note and then go down B, A, C. But those have got to be played staccato. You can see that right there on the music, look. Then I'm going to cross over to F sharp and give that one a little bit of a whack and make it staccato as well. Up to E, hold the E because it's 1, and notice the quaver crotchet quaver rhythm. That's what I call a split rhythm. So it's where we've split the notes up, but we've put the second half of beat 1 and the first half of beat 2 inside a single note. So we get a nice emphasis. Look, 1 and 1 and 2, and so we're holding it 1 and 2 and. Okay, so that's the first little phrase. So starting off, look, thumb on G, 3 on the B, and we're going to count in going 1, 2, 1 and 2, and 1, tap, tap, over to F sharp, jump. Now, nice little scale now, look, A, B, C, D. Notice we're kicking the hand, look. Getting that nice staccato. Oh, and look here, look. Now this bar here, this really shows how Beethoven was really starting to try and change things. Almost a blatantly obvious wrong note. Well, that's chromatic, isn't it? What about that right there? So that's an A sharp. But again, look at that rhythm, look. 1 and 2. It's that split rhythm we just played. So really hold that note down. 1 and 2. And tap, 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 tap. 1 and 2. And then we have the next two notes are the pickup again. Ta-ta-tum. Same phrase again. And tap, 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 tap. That's all the same. The only difference is we finish on a G because it's a 5-1 perfect cadence. Okay, so that is the right hand of that piece right there. So we're going to go 1 and 2. Isn't that nice? Now, of course, depending on the version that you have, make sure you take notice of any additional dynamics or alterations. Maybe you're learning this for a piano grade, a piano exam. So again, if you're using it from one of the official exam books, make sure that you focus on all the details and work on those with your teacher. Okay, so very, very nice. In my copy, we can see that the music starts quiet. So 1 and 2. It's a little drawing room number. By the way, the wedges that you sing in my copy, that's an older way of writing staccato, which they used to do in kind of Mozart's time. Okay, so it's in the key of G major. Now, we have to remember that Beethoven, we tend to think of him as what we call a late classical composer. He sort of started classical and then started to become a little bit more romantic by the end of his life. But he was the guy that sort of paved the way for what the romantic composers did. But of course he wrote pieces also in the vein of what we call classical music, the classical era, Mozart and Haydn and so on. And of course those guys, the thing that prevailed in that music was this thing of tonic and dominant, this very clear, you all heard it, haven't you? You know, it's very obvious what it's going to do, very obvious when it does it. So basically, this piece uses two chords. It uses a G major chord, that's our tonic major chord, because we're in the key of G major, and it uses a D dominant seventh, which is D7 by another name. There's a couple of other chords here and there, but that's basically what's going on. Excuse me. And so we have this very strong sense of home, alternate, which goes home again. Okay. Now, of course, because obviously it's a very simple kind of piano study piece. I mean, generally this one tends to float around grade 2 on some of the exam boards here in the UK when it pops up. So obviously not all the chord is used, but we start with, again, look at G position. Let's go back to the beginning here. And here's the G position, look. So we've got G major, but instead of playing the whole chord like this, Beethoven uses the G note on the first beat, and then the other two notes, the B and the D, on the other halves in the bar. So it's 1 and 2 and, okay? 1 and 2 and. So I'm using my little finger for the G, I'm using my 3 and my 1 for the B and the D. So that's the G chord. Now again, these I'm going to keep them nice and light, nice and bouncy. So 1 and 2, ta. Now we go down to D, so we stretch the little finger down. When we stretch down, our second and thumb, first finger are going to land on the A and the C. There's that chord, look. So we just do that, 1 and 2 and. The next bar is the same chord, but we change the A for an F sharp, thumb still playing the C, and then we go back to G, and this time we're going to play a slight variation on a G chord. This is G suspended fourth, 1 and 2, and then drop down for the pickup notes. Then it's, again, because the melody repeats, it kind of repeats again on the next line of my copy. G major, jump to D, dominant 7, different notes on the same chord, and then these two come together, look, like that. D7 goes home to G. Very important to use your second and your thumb, because then you're going to use your 3 on the D, and then bottom G down there. And you can hear it, the music is more or less literally saying, it is is the end, or 2 if you want to use 2 on the D. Okay, now let's just look very quickly back at the first couple of bars. Sorry. Notice how when I play the D chord, I'm not playing the F sharp here. Why is that? Well, it was a thing of old style writing that if you had a harmony note in the melody, you would omit it. In this case, it's the third, so the third is not doubled, and they took it out because you don't need it here because it's up here, you see. And then here, look, the A is being used in the melody, so we changed the A out for the F sharp. I love that harmony there. It's so wrong. Okay, so that's lines 1 and 2. That's the first section of this piece. So let's now see if we can pop it together. So work on your left hand, work on your right hand. Let's get our starting position, guys. Okay, by the way, folks, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can find me at Tom Horton Musician on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also find Keyboard Skills Pro as well as here on YouTube. We do shorts, we do TikTok videos, so lots of stuff going on, and there's also lots of other piano lessons here on the channel as well, so please do visit me. Now, where do we start? Well, we start with the G position. Little finger on G just under middle C, thumb on G above middle C. That's your starting position, so think of that as the G position. Okay, right, so 1 and 2, and then the D goes with the G, and then everything goes together. Look, 1 and 2, and as you cross over, use that motion to jump down. Notice how my hand opens up to E. 2 of those chords, look, those 2 chords go with that one. 1 and 2. Finishing 1. Swap your middle finger round. All together. Tap, 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 tap. Back to the G position. Use your thumb on the A here. 1 and 2. And 1. There you go. Look, that all repeats. Down. So that as I cross, look, I motion downwards. Open wide. Swap the middle finger. F sharp. Finish on the 2 and the 1. 1 and 2. And again. There you go, that's the first bit. And it's quite fun, isn't it? It's a nice, simple little piece in some ways, but it's fun exercise stuff, very fun exercise stuff. Okay, now, let's take a look now at part 2, this bit. Okay, so a little bit more going on in there. We've got some B octaves, gang. Yes, down the bottom there. So again, let's look at left hand first this time. So we've just finished down here, look, on the G. So now we want to open our hand up wide, little finger and thumb either side of that finishing G. That's the low D and the D above it. Look, so we're on the middle C. There's middle C, D. Next one down is your thumb, next one underneath. So it's not the lowest D on the piano, it's the next one up. And what we've got to do now is we've got to basically play an arpeggio. So that's what I want you to exercise first of all. Practice that first of all. So keep your octave there. So it's octave, 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 octave. So it's D, F sharp, A, D. And that's a arpeggio of D major, you see. There we go, we practice those, don't we? But what we're going to do is, instead of doing that, we're going to get a bit more out, get an and. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So it's an octave jump. Now, providing you keep your hand on an octave, just look at the bottom note, he says, and you should get it right. But that's going to take a little practice to get that right, look. because you've got to make sure you get lots of good accuracy there. So notice how that plays. Look, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and, then it repeats. We could probably echo that quietly. Okay, so that's all that is basically. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and D, F sharp and A and D. Now once you finish on that D, the next line just simply is a D chord. So you can do that little thing you do, ba ba. Remember that split rhythm? Follow. Oh, by the way, in another video I used the rhythm follow the, as in follow the leader kind of thing. Follow. Now, F sharp and D, look, little D chord, and then bring that little finger to G, 1 and 2, and octave C, B, and then we've got this D chord again with the F sharp. We had that earlier, didn't we? But instead of that rhythm, we're going to do alternating bass and chord, 1 and 2 and G major N. So the last two bars are basically the same as the last two bars of the first section, just instead of it going 1 and 2 and, it goes 1 and 2 and finish the end. That's the only difference, just the way the chord pattern plays there. Okay, so again, work on that left hand, really important to get that sorted out. Now, here is the right hand, so. Now, you know, I sometimes would start that with my thumb. But try and keep that G position, look. So again, what's it doing there? It's repeating, isn't it? Because we know that the left hand repeats. So, but again, look, there is at the beginning a pickup. So when you finish the previous section, 1 and 2, and that's your pickup. So bum, bum, bum. Then it carries on, look. So we're going to go, and thirds this time, rather nice thirds. So 2 and 4, A and C, then go to A. So this is kind of all based on this D7 chord. There you go, also all based on that. All based on the D chord, but D dominant 7. Dominant 7 chords push musical sounds on. So when you finish, that's where your hands are going to go, but we're just doing the right hand for now. And 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2. Okay, so and a 1 and 2 and. Now, this group of semiquavers all goes in one beat. Da 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 da. 1 E and a 2. 1 E and a 2. Okay, da 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 dum. Then it repeats. And 1 and 2 and then go really fast. Okay. So again, easy to remember. Okay, next section. Da da, same notes up. A and C, down to G and B. Open your hand up, G and E. So you can hear it, look. Da 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 da. So make sure that gets a good hold, that second chord. Maybe make the first one shorter. Da 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 da. And then it is now the end, the end. Okay. That's your right hand. All right. So you can see it's very much a piece of two halves. Very much a piece of two halves. Okay. So let's finish off by putting both of those hands together in the second section. Here we go. So we've just finished. It's the end. Now this hand doesn't move. Keep it there. Put your second finger on the A. And then you've got some time to get your hand into the octave position. Tap, 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 1 E and a 2. So that's the first rhythm to learn. First bit's not too hard because everything synchronises, and then two notes here to every one of your left hand. 1 and, whoops, missed it. 1 and 1 E, I can't multitask. 1 E and a 2, and 1 and 2 and 1 E and and so I'm counting the 1 E and 2. And here we go. Now everything goes together now. So I've got that little finger on the F sharp. Look, there's the D7 chord, inversion this time. 1 and. So make that first chord nice and short. 1 and 2. Bring the little finger to G as you play the G chord. Open up. C octave. C major. Now here's the fourth chord of G major. I haven't used this before. This is C major chord. 1 and 2. Drop the top note down with this hand. There you go, look. Position. It's the end. Gorgeous little song, really pretty. Hope you enjoy it, folks. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit the subscribe button and yeah, enjoy learning the one of Beethoven's little Ecossaises there. Ecossaise, is that the plural? I don't know. That one's in G major. Cracking number. And I hope you've enjoyed learning that with me today here on the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.